Okay, so picking off where I left off with the previous week, talking about my second week in the placement. First of all, let me just say this week was scheduled to basically be my first week teaching, and it was. How we got there was a little interesting. Of course, I hadn't really been able to be in the classroom very much because of the all the snow we've had and the roof collapse, and not only was I not able to be in the classroom much, but I didn't really have many opportunities to get in front of the students and really interact with them much. So that was definitely kind of worrisome going in. In hindsight, I probably worried less about that at the time than I really should have been worrying about it, but hey, that's how it goes. Um, yeah, the main opportunity I had to interact with them was in the previous week that I've already vlogged about. I didn't get a chance to mention this, but my teacher got a cold. I actually had a cold too, but luckily mine was a lot less severe than hers. She was really bad off and pretty much lost her voice, and for the first, for the last 2 days of that week, I wound up just totally taking over and basically teaching for her. She would chime in with a few things, but for the most part, I kind of ran things. Most classes were alright. I they don't know if they really showed me the same amount of respect that they show her or not. Because, some of the classes, they just, they have good days and bad days. So I don't know if any of that was particularly related to it being my first day. It was just a crazy week, it's hard to keep the students on track when you have all that going on. So that was interesting thing to learn, just how hard it can be to keep them on track. Moving on to this week, this is my first full week of teaching, and my teacher had not recovered, and she was actually gone first 4 days of this week, so it was my first time teaching full time, and I had a sub there the whole time with me for the first 4 days. Very good sub though, so I had that kind of running in my favor. She was helpful. And just helped relieve a little bit of the stress of not having to worry about being alone, especially, if something happened, students start fighting or something like that. And of course, I'm not legally supposed to be in the classroom alone all day. Of course, my cooperating teacher certainly leaves from time to time now. Anyway, so I taught this week using my own lessons for the first time. You all will probably be seeing my reflection on the lesson that I did for one of my class assignments eventually. And the lesson I did, that was the first lesson in this unit that I taught the students. And I guess I learned quite as much from my reflections as I should have, because I pretty much had the same problems. The concept mastery routine, it's difficult to use because it takes too much time. It's a discussion-based thing. It's kind of hard to slice it down time a bit. And what I actually wound up doing was I cut some corners. Like, I cut out the keywords portion, and sometimes I do the examples after I did the definition, just to try to make it more manageable. So I definitely saw the concept mastery routine. And, I really liked it. And at the time, I thought, oh, well, it took way too long, so that's a bad thing. But talking to my cooperating teacher later, she said, well, and this is talking about one particular class, she said, well, were they actively talking about it? And I said, well, yes, they were. She said, well, with that class, that's victory. That's you doing something right. So I think it has its benefits, and I would be willing to use it again. It's just something you're going to have to devote time to, and that you are probably going to have to tinker with and kind of make your own in order to make it work. One thing I've noticed about the routine is that it can be kind of hard to do when students don't have a whole lot of prior knowledge with what you're talking about. And maybe this is an interesting reflection on just how their minds work, but they're really uncomfortable coming up with like characteristics or examples when they don't have the definition. It's like they want the definition first. It's kind of how their minds work. I actually had a very cool discussion with a very self-reflective student talking about, well, this is kind of doesn't feel very natural to be doing all this stuff before you come up with a definition. And we talked about that and talked about how the routine is supposed to work. I think that's an interesting point. I think that I was doing this routine with nationalism, which is something they've heard a little bit about, but maybe not quite enough about to have made this routine as effective as it could be with something like, for example, the one that I was taught the concept mastery routine on was, I think, leadership. So yeah, the concept mastery routine worked alright. I definitely changed it up as I went to try to make it work, try to make it fit in the time constraints, try to help students think about it better. And it did definitely take up way too much time. There were also other factors compounding my time problems. For example, the B-Day class that I did, I teach one class on B-Days, 3 classes on A-Days, all the same topic. My B-Day class, I chose to take a test in class rather than take home, so I had to proctor that, and that cost me about 20-30 minutes starting out in class, so that threw my schedule off, so I kind of planned for 75 minutes, and I just figured, okay, whatever I don't finish today, I'll pick up on tomorrow, and I did, but then the concept mastery thing threw me off even more. But it wound up being about equal, because we also had an early release due to snow in the other classes. That's another thing you learn can really throw off your schedule, so at the end of the day, all 4 of the classes were about equal to behind. So that was interesting to see how stuff like that can throw you off, and that was a really tough moment for me, having to be just on there on the fly, thinking, okay, well, what can I accomplish? How far do I want to go? Making choices about what's most important, what could I probably skip if I needed to, now that I don't have as much time. For instance, in that case, originally I was going to have my first writing sample for the writing project that we're doing going to be in my honors classes on that A-Day when it snowed, and I basically made the decision that, well, I've lost some time, so I'll just omit that writing assignment to just focus on putting students first and not by need to have assignments, and making sure that I did things as efficiently as I could to keep them moving on so that they wouldn't get too delayed. That decision's come back to bite me a bit, but we'll see how that goes. That'll be future blogs. And again, I didn't feel, especially the first 3 days, like the students showed me as much respect as they did my cooperating teacher. I guess that shouldn't really surprise me. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes, and you can't really blame them, especially with this little contact with me as they've had. And the other thing I really wished I improved on is that I did the whole first day, okay, this is who I am, these are kind of my rules or guidelines for class. I didn't spend much time on them, and I really don't think I treated them as seriously as I should have. I think I just went in there with the attitude of, and I have been pretty successful with my last list, and I think I just went in with the attitude of, no, well, I'm going to connect with these kids, and everything will be fine. I'm not going to have to worry too much about letting down the line. We'll just take it as we go, and it'll be okay. And now I wish in hindsight that I'd been spent a little more time focusing on those. Also a little more time just kind of getting to know the students, but I kind of opted not to just because of how much time that we had lost, and just really wanted to get on with the content. And also, this is a personal thing that I'll need to grow on. Just those things have never made me all that comfortable doing that get to know you stuff. That's something that I really wish I'd spent a little more time in hindsight. It's interesting to see things that I might have thought were fine at the time, but going back now, I see, oh well, if I had done that differently back then, maybe things would be different now. I'm starting to ramble a bit. Anyway, yeah, for most of the time, I didn't feel like they respected me that much, but then I went back and I talked with other teachers, and they pretty much said, well, to be honest, they don't really respect any of us that much, so that's, don't feel too bad about that. So I kind of took that to heart, and I did. The last couple of days I had were actually went really good. I mean, I think that about that Thursday and Friday, just finally the things I was doing really started to work, and so then I was feeling a little bit better, and that really made my week better. Getting a couple of good days going into the weekend. Okay, well, I think that's it for this week. I guess I'll move on and talk to you again next week when I talk about my first week in my imperialism unit.